Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, I want to chat with you about a book that genuinely blew my mind and changed the way I think about one of the most fundamental relationships in our lives, parenting. It's called The Book You Wish Your Parents Had Read and Your Children Will Be Glad That You Did by Philippa Perry. And let me tell you, the title isn't just catchy, it's spot on. I picked up this book because let's be honest, parenting can feel like an endless battle over the simplest things, getting kids dressed, fed, washed, and into bed, right? We all have this fantasy of idyllic family life running through meadows, but the reality is often banana scraped into high chair cracks and letters from the head teacher. What Perry does so brilliantly is cut through all the tips and tricks and instead gives you the big picture. This isn't a potty training manual, it's about how we have relationships with our children and what truly makes a good connection. The core message, the absolute heart of this book, is that the relationship you have with your child is the soil they grow in. It supports, nurtures, or unfortunately, inhibits their growth. And here's the kicker, a massive part of that soil comes from your own past. Perry, being a psychotherapist for 20 years, really emphasizes that your parenting legacy is deeply shaped by how you were brought up. She says that children don't do what we say, they do what we do. This means your own childhood experiences, good or bad, often resurface in your interactions with your kids. You know those moments when you open your mouth and your mother's words come out? Yep, she goes there. She shares this amazing story about a psychotherapist named Tay and her daughter. Emily, nearly 7, gets stuck on a climbing frame and asks for help. Tay, to her own surprise, feels furious and shouts at Emily to get down, even refusing to hold her hand later. A week later, Emily asks, "Why didn't you help me last time?" It turns out Tay was reacting to her own childhood, where her grandmother made her feel incapable. Tay had to apologize, admitting she was angry at her own past, not Emily, and saying, "I care, but at the moment I didn't know that I was angry at Nana and not at you, and I'm sorry." Emily's relief was palpable. "Oh, I just thought you didn't care." This highlights a crucial concept, rupture and repair. Mistakes are inevitable in any close relationship. It's not the rupture, the argument, the misstep, the shouting that matters most, but the repair. Admitting you got it wrong, apologizing, and changing your response can mean the world, even to an adult child. It shows them you're real and authentic, not perfect. And that is exactly what children need for security. Perry urges us to look at our own inner critic too, that nagging voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough. Your kids are learning from that. She tells the story of Elaine, whose mother, despite being loving, passed on a not good enough vibe through her own self-criticism. Perry's advice, recognize the voice, don't engage with it, and expand your comfort zone by doing the things it says you can't. It's about being mindful of how you talk to yourself, so you don't pass that damaging habit on. Now, you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but what if my own childhood wasn't perfect? Am I doomed to repeat it? Not at all. The good news is, Perry emphasizes that you can reshape your link in the chain. You can unpack your childhood, decide what was helpful, and ditch the rest. Mark's story is a powerful example of this. He resented family life, feeling pushed aside, just like he had felt when his own father deserted him as a child. Through therapy, he realized his resentment belonged to his past, not his son Toby. By confronting his own grief, he was able to unlock his love for Toby and build a strong foundation for their relationship. He learned to find meaning in childcare instead of seeing it as a boring chore. This is about not passing down your inherited fear, hate, loneliness, or resentment. Moving beyond personal history, the book delves into your child's environment, arguing that it's not family structure that matters, it's how we all get on. Whether you're a nuclear family, single parent, co-parenting, or anything else, what truly influences a child's development is the quality of relationships around them. Conflict, if not handled well, can make children worried about their security, impacting their ability to learn and explore the world. So, how do you handle conflict? Perry says that successful relationships do have disagreements, it's how you work through them that counts. She introduces different arguing styles, fact tennis, where you lob reasons back and forth to win points, luck squirrel, which is distraction and avoidance, being a martyr who eventually resents others, or a persecutor who attacks. None of these are helpful. The ideal way: collaborate. Start with I statements about how you feel, not you statements that blame. For example, I feel fed up when I come home after having washed up in the morning, to see more of it rather than you never do the washing up. This fosters understanding and compromise, not winning and losing. She gives a brilliant example with the father, Keith, and his son Johnny, arguing about an old leather jacket, where the father's anger was really about his own feelings of aging. Another vital concept is fostering goodwill. John Gottman's Love Lab research showed that successful couples respond to each other's bids for connection, those small gestures seeking attention or interest. If one partner says, "Listen to this," and the other puts down their phone to listen, that's a bit satisfied. Couples who fail to do this often ended up in dysfunctional relationships or split up. This applies to children too. Small day-to-day interactions build goodwill and connection. Now, let's talk about feelings, because this is perhaps the most important part of the book. Harry stresses that children are pure feeling. Ignoring or denying a child's feelings is potentially harmful to their future mental health. When feelings are disallowed, they don't disappear, they go into hiding and cause trouble later. The most common cause of adult depression, she notes, is not learning how to be soothed as a child. Harry encourages containing feelings, acknowledging them without overreacting or repressing. If a child knows you will see and soothe them without judgment, they are more likely to share. She shares Kate's story, whose toddler Pierre cried over minor things. Instead of telling him to stop making a fuss, Kate kept accepting and soothing his feelings. Remembering how bad she felt when her own parents dismissed her emotions, gradually, Pierre learned to cope and self-soothe. It's about being felt with, not dealt with. When we try to fix or distract from feelings, we inadvertently tell our children their feelings are invalid. One impactful example is Lucas' story. His loving parents, both busy with work, deny his feelings of loneliness and being past a parcel due to changing au pairs. They wanted him to be happy, so they bought him treats or distracted him. But Lucas, at age 10, attempted to jump out of a window. The parents realized they had only seen what they wanted to see. By learning to validate his feelings and asking what it felt like, Lucas began to heal. This story, combined with Dr. Tom Boyce's research on children who drew their feelings after an earthquake being healthier, makes a powerful case allowing expression of all feelings, even difficult ones, builds stronger immune systems and better mental health. The book also addresses common parental worries like clinginess. Harry says, "Don't worry, it's often a sign of a secure attachment. Your child feels so safe and bonded with you that they can eventually separate when they're ready, not when you push them away." And what about sleep? This is a huge emotional topic for parents, right? Harry takes a firm stance against sleep training that involves leaving a baby to cry alone. She argues it doesn't eliminate their need for you, it only conditions them to give up crying. She cites research that shows stress hormones remain high even when crying stops, potentially harming brain development. Instead, she advocates for sleep nudging, a gradual, gentle process of helping your child separate at their own pace, always within their comfort baseline. The goal is for your child to associate sleep with comfort and security, not loneliness or rejection. Another huge takeaway for me was that all behavior is communication. When your child acts out in an inconvenient way, not bad, she emphasizes, but inconvenient, it's because they haven't found a more effective way to express their feelings or needs. She tells the story of Gina, who was stuck on a train and late picking up her daughter, Awif. Awif then acted naughty, running, screaming, and pulling things off shelves. Gina was mortified and angry, threatening punishments, but Perry, from Awif's perspective, explains that Awif was scared and angry because the sudden change, the rushed pace, and the lack of connection felt overwhelming. She needed warnings, explanations, and for her feelings to be put into words. You're feeling frustrated because you don't want to stop this fun game. Perry argues against unhelpful explanations for behavior like they're just doing it for attention. Everyone needs attention. They're being manipulative. Toddlers don't have malice aforethought, or they know how to wind me up. They're still learning emotional vocabulary. So what about strictness? Perry suggests we move beyond the strict versus lax dichotomy and embrace the collaborative method. This means defining the problem from your perspective and need your room to be tidy, finding and validating the feelings behind your child's behavior. Do you feel overwhelmed by the job? And then brainstorming solutions together. This fosters essential skills like tolerance for frustration, flexibility, problem solving, and empathy. And what about those boundaries? Paris says children need love plus boundaries, but here's the crucial part: define yourself, not the child. Instead of "you're too young to be out after 10, try and meet you back at 10 for my sake. Because I don't sleep well if I'm half expecting to be woken up by you coming in late." This models honesty and makes it easier for your child to hear and respect your limits. It helps avoid reason wars where you get stuck debating facts when it's really about feelings. Finally, the book touches on lying. Paris years ahead ensures wisdom. Your child will lie to you, and our job is not to make a stalking big deal of it. Why do children lie? To avoid punishment, to create private space, or to communicate an emotional truth they can't articulate directly. Instead of being punitive, Harry suggests understanding the feelings or reasons behind the lie. She gives an example of her daughter Flo lying about her goldfish dying, when in reality Flo was processing her mother's grief over relatives' death. The small lie was a way for a child to handle a huge emotional truth. This book is essentially a guide to cultivating authenticity, empathy, and connection in your family. It's about being present, observing your child, listening to their feelings and your own, and being brave enough to repair the inevitable ruptures. It's about understanding that your child is a person, not an object to be perfected or controlled. So why should you read this book? Because it offers a profoundly insightful and compassionate approach to parenting that goes beyond quick fixes. It helps you understand yourself better, which is the foundation for understanding your children. It's a reminder that parenting is a lifelong relationship, not a temporary project. By investing time positively earlier, by validating feelings, collaborating, and defining boundaries with love, you lay a robust foundation for your child's mental health and happiness. It helps you shift from a mindset of good parent, bad parent judgment to one of self-awareness and continuous repair, and that in turn helps your children grow into confident, empathetic, and resilient adults who can navigate their own lives and relationships with strength and joy. It's a journey and you will make mistakes, but Perry's consistent message is one of forgiveness and repair. It is not the mistakes that matter so much, it's how we put them right. And I think that's a message we all need to hear.